know that Rick Tocchet lamenting the missed opportunities for the Vancouver Canucks. And again, he can put systems in place for this hockey club, but the execution comes down to the guys on the ice. They're paid well, compensated well. This is what they do for a living. When the puck is on their stick in a shooting position, they've got to find a way to challenge UC Saros. Again, 18 shots at the end of this night, not enough, not nearly enough. And the Canucks are going to have to find a way to generate a whole lot more as the series transitions to Music City, USA. All right, let's get to our stat that stands out. We always pick something after each and every one of these games that kind of caught our attention. And this one is really a series stat now. I mean, 0 for 4 on the power play in this hockey game after 0 for 2 the other night against the Preds. So you add that up in a hurry, and all of a sudden the Vancouver Canucks are 0 for 6 with the man advantage, where a power play goal, particularly when this game was still sort of hanging in the balance, could have been a massive difference, could have swung this in the Canucks' favor. But as they say, it is what it is. They didn't score on the power play. And, if they do score on the power play, then we're probably not sitting here and talking about missed opportunities. We're probably talking about, they came through pivotal time in the series, but they didn't so far. And so 0 for 6, 2 games in against the Predators penalty kill. And I've made this point a couple of times, but it's worth repeating. Or if it was 22nd in the National Hockey League over the course of the season, 27th on the road, and yet it leaves town feeling pretty good about itself. 6 for 6 in the first 2 games of the series.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing, is they were able to go and get that. Killing penalties is a huge momentum boost for a lot of teams in the National Hockey League. But the Canucks power play, at one point in this season, was a very good power play. It was nuclear at some points. I got a little stat here for you. Shot attempts, Canucks had 84, Preds had 36, plus 48 shot differentials, Vancouver's largest in a game since December 8th, 2010 versus the Anaheim Ducks. So the Canucks threw absolutely everything. It just didn't make it to UC Saros, a lot of them. Rick Tocchet did speak post-game. Tyler Myers was out with the flu.
Oh.
Thatcher Demko this morning, I think he said day-to-day. Yeah, it's week to week now. That's what he said. So week to week, and I think that we can go on that and pretty much say that I don't think that Thatcher Demko is coming back in this series. I think it's Casey DeSmith's crease. And I think if the Canucks do end up getting past the Nashville Predators, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Let's just leave it at that. But yeah, we're going to have to wait and see.
And I think back to a number of injuries earlier this season, Carson Soucy, Demko, where week to week turned into
a lot longer than week to week. Yeah.
So unfortunate for Thatcher Demko, a huge part of this team and its success through this regular season, an all-star obviously, and dialed in, had such a good start to the season, came back, looked good in the game against Calgary, the game against Winnipeg. Was fine the other night against the Predators, stopped all 10 shots that he faced in the third period, but clearly something happened along the way there. And so, it's a shame for the Vancouver Canucks. Tocchet talked about after the morning skate, you need all sorts of bodies. I think he threw the number 28 out there. Well, they've already used 19 skaters and 2 different starting goaltenders, so that's up to 21, and they're only 2 games into this thing. And again, we'll see how that impacts the Vancouver Canucks, but that is now an edge to the Nashville Predators. I think the Canucks felt they had the advantage if a healthy Thatcher Demko was in there in this series. And, we kind of looked at the outset and talked about this had the potential to be a real battle between 2 of the league's best goaltenders. And so Demko's out. It's on to DeSmith, who, was okay, I guess, in this game when I look at the goals that were scored. But ultimately, he gives up 3 goals on 15 shots. That's not going to get it done statistically. So he's going to have to be better as well. But power play is the stat that stands out in this hockey game. 0 for 4 tonight, 0 for 6 in the series. And the stat that stands out is a presentation of the fine folks at Fountain Tire. And as we head further into spring, ask the Fountain Tire experts about their seasonal car care package to keep your vehicle in top shape. Find your nearest service dealer at fountaintire.com.
I got an interesting quote here I want to read from Rick Tocchet of what he said post-game. So he said, "Petey's a young kid. This is his first taste of pressure. This is good for him. He's got to learn. He's got to dust himself off and be ready for game 3. I think he should have dusted himself off and be ready for game 1.
How about game 68?
Yeah.
Or 67 or...
I mean, I get what the coach is trying to do here. And, Rick Tocchet is very good at that. He picks his spots as to where he's going to talk about his players and things like that. But it's the interesting one because to me, it's the first taste of pressure the playoff action. We talked about the bubble and how good he was and things like that. But yes, for a lot of these guys in this core group, this is your first taste of big playoff action.
Yeah. I mean, I get that he's not experienced in the playoffs, but this is a guy that performed in the Swedish Hockey League playoffs and was the MVP of the playoffs over there as I think still a teenager.
Yeah.
He's 25 now. By NHL standards, that's not young.
Nope.
Like, he's played 400 games. Does he have this vast resume of playoff hockey? No, he doesn't. And that's not necessarily on him. I mean, that's just where the organization's been for the last bunch of years. But I find the word young gets thrown around, and I don't want to get hung up on the use of young. I get where Tocchet's coming from and what he's trying to do there. But by today's NHL standards, 25 is kind of the start of your statistical prime. This guy's been around the block.
Connor Bedard's young.
Yeah, exactly. And so, no, they need so much more from him. And it's going to have to, like, nobody's coming along. People are talking about other ways to prop him up. It's going to have to start with Elias Pettersson digging in and just finding a way to get back to, like, he started this season on fire earth. He had 20 points in his first 10 games. And then he had that stretch in January. He was one of the stars of the month in the National Hockey League, and he, in big buildings, Madison Square and in Pittsburgh, like, took over hockey games. Like, where is that guy?
Thanks for watching this video. For more great content from Canucks Army, check out Sakaris and Price, Rink-Wide Vancouver, or our show, Canucks Conversation. We're your one-stop shop for interviews, breaking news, and a live Canucks postgame show hosted by Jeff Patterson.